Good morning, grade 7 students, and welcome to another day of learning in our English class. And today our focus will be about the verbal and non-verbal communication. Before we proceed, let us identify first what is expected from us today as we learn and as we discuss the different types of communication. So we're going to first identify the different strategies as an effective tool for interpersonal communication. So before we proceed, let us identify first what is communication. So according to this, there are three keywords that are about to be given about communication. And so when we say communication, this is the process by which we share information, share our ideas, and share our intentions. So therefore, when we are sharing information to others, when we are sharing our ideas, when we are sharing our intentions, we are communicating to others. And so, there are two types of communication. The first one is what we call the verbal communication. So, when we say verbal communication, this is the production of the spoken language to send a message to the listener. So we say verbal communication also when we are having one-on-one conversation, when we are having also a small group communication, when we are having also a public communication, or when we are having personal communication to ourselves. So that is verbal communication. Now, how does the non-verbal communication differ from the first one that was given? Non-verbal communication was the transfer of communication through the use of body language, eye contact, tone and pitch of voice, facial expressions, and gestures. So I repeat, the non-verbal communication is the transfer of communication through the use of body language, eye contact, tone and pitch of voice, facial expressions, and gestures. Okay? So that is the difference that we have given from the given idea about verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Moving on with our activity, we will be having now our activity 1. You're just going to answer in your answer sheet verbal or non-verbal communication, and you're going to identify the different types of communication do you think the following belong. Okay? For slide, let me see. What do these emojis tell? Is it a verbal or non-verbal communication? Moving on with the next. When you see your classmates by far with this thumbs up for winning in a math contest, do you think this implies a verbal or non-verbal communication? Moving on with the next. You have seen a clever boy answering questions about galaxy. What do you think is he doing? Is it a verbal or non-verbal communication? Moving on, you are in a face-to-face class answering questions in English. And so, is it a verbal or non-verbal communication? Moving on, you saw your guidance teacher with this signal. What do you think is it? Is it verbal or non-verbal communication? Next, you saw your mother having a telemedicine with this doctor. Is it verbal or non-verbal communication? Then, the next, you read silently this in your logic class. To print or not to print? Is it verbal or non-verbal communication? Then, the next slide, your teacher in MAPE taught you the different sign languages. Is it verbal or non-verbal communication? Now, for the last one, your teacher in English again asks you to answer a yes or no question. Is it verbal or non-verbal communication? This time, let us summarize the things that we have learned today. Again, let us remember that there are two types of communication. The first one is the verbal communication, wherein the production of spoken language to send a message to the listener. It is one-on-one conversation. It is a small group communication. It is a public communication, and it is a personal communication to yourself. Then the other one is the non-verbal communication. This is the transfer of communication through the use of body language, eye contact, tone and pitch of voice, facial expressions, and gestures. Okay, so with all these things that we have learned today, I hope that you have learned something new today and there is another learning that you have in your mind. See you next time. Thank you and God bless us all.